Welcome back to the Life of Phys podcast, where every story is a reminder that creativity isn't just about making something beautiful. It's about finding meaning, connection, and strength along the way. I'm your host, Tyson Martin. Today's guest is Steve Bueckert, a travel and landscape photographer known for chasing the magic of natural light. His work captures the quiet beauty of the world, from the heart of bustling cities to the most remote edges of the map. Steve's photography blends patience, precision, and poetry, finding light when and where it's least expected. Shooting on both digital and film, his images invite you to slow down, breathe, and see the extraordinary in the everyday. Beyond the lens, Steve is a published photographer, speaker, and educator, offering private lessons in digital, film, and editing for photographers of all levels. His mission is simple: to share the craft, inspire curiosity, and help others discover the magic of light and storytelling. Now let's get to my conversation with Steve.
I'm Steve Bueckert. I'm also known online as Lens of Steve. You might have seen me on Instagram or Threads, or I've got a website under the same name as well. I live in Langley. I'm basically Tyson's neighbor, and I'm in Langley, BC, and kind of always been in the BC area, and absolutely love life here. I would probably classify myself as a travel photographer now. I think that's kind of my, where my passion lies, but certainly got a background that encompasses a lot more than that. So I'd love to get chatting with you about that today, buddy.
Yeah, man, it's good to have you on. It's been a while coming. Steve and I have known each other, I don't even know how long now. We met through Instagram. We both realized we shot Fuji I shot Fuji at the time. Steve still shoots Fuji. And we kind of met up at a coffee shop, went for a walk, and it's been something we've done not as regularly as we used to. We're both pretty busy, but it's been, I don't even know. It's been years.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time walking around in some epic light, buddy.
Yes, sir. And hopefully we can get back into it this year.
I'm absolutely
trying to finish up this recording block, which I should be done by mid-December. And then I'll have enough shows to get me through till almost the summer.
Well, we got our secret spot down in Glen Valley that's probably calling to us this time of year. So,
yeah, I looked at the weather on the weekend when that sun broke through the rain clouds, and I was like, oh, I should be there. But
yeah,
had to record.
That place always delivers.
It does. Steve, break into some of your backstory. Break into how you figured out that photography was something that meant so much to you. And then let the people know some of the history, some of the things that you've done. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, thanks, man. I mean, I think I started photography like as a kid, like one of those 110 cameras on film. It was always, it was me that was kind of documenting all the vacations and stuff like that. That was always me. And then, kind of always was there in the back of my mind. But you go through university and you do all that kind of stuff, and you get away from it a little bit. And it was one of my semesters in university, I decided to take a mountaineering elective, and it absolutely hooked me. So it was time in the mountains. And at the time, my dad worked for Parks Canada. So we had access to places in the mountains that maybe even average people couldn't get to. And I was always looking for that next peak, that climb that wasn't famous, that lots of people hadn't done. And so that's where the first real camera came in. It was taking pictures, really almost portraits of mountains, so I could figure out my route up. And so, I'd take these pictures in the summer and then just study them all winter, big prints, and figure out, where am I going to attack this from? How am I going to go up this mountain? And that's kind of where it started. And then, you start to kind of get these pictures back, and they're not great. So, you really kind of have to learn. And I was lucky at the time to have some really great mentors that taught me what I needed to do, what film I needed to use. And I think that was instrumental. And then, I kind of started documenting more about the adventure than just the mountains, as I was climbing, which meant a much lighter kit, still on film. This is way before digital. And yeah, really developed a knack kind of for the storytelling piece of it. which ended up appealing to brands back then because that was kind of the missing piece. It's easy to take a big piece of great picture of a mountain, but how do you tell the story? And that became kind of what I was known for originally. And I started selling to tourism magazines and in BC and, different brands that I was associated. I worked in the outdoor retail business at the time. So lots of brands that I could kind of reach out to. And then I had some friends that got really into snowboarding, and a couple of them were really good. And at the time, I lived in Vernon, so we were skiing at, in Revelstoke, in Silver Star, Big White, those kind of areas. And as my friends got really good, I was the one skier, which meant I could hold the camera. I could kind of ski backwards while they were, I could get a lot more shots. So I started shooting for friends that wanted to get sponsored, and sure enough, they did. And so then I started photographing snowboarding all over British Columbia, and that's where I really started getting published, where you're getting two-page spreads in Transworld Snowboard Magazine, Snowboard Canada. You got your shots are being used for ads and editorial. That was really cool. I've got a big stack of those magazines. I'll never let those go. That's a pretty incredible feeling, and so that kind of became my winters, my weekend winters. I still always had a day job. That was my winters. And then in the summer, I thought to myself, well, how do I kind of keep my photography going in the summer where I'm still making money? And I had a very good friend of mine at the time that was one of the top wedding photographers in Vancouver.
Oh no, the dreaded wedding photographer.
She took me on as a second, and I mean, she did like massive weddings, like it was celebrity weddings and things like that. And yeah, I learned so much from her about lighting, about portraits, about posing, about that whole side of it. But I think what I brought with me from snowboarding was that ability to anticipate and capture the moment and really kind of understand that. So I kind of worked my way into this world where I was doing snowboard photography in the winter and weddings in the summer and doing quite a good business with that. But this was right around the time that early digital cameras were coming on. They still were not going to deliver what film delivered in terms of quality, but the wedding world got completely compressed by this, right? Where somebody suddenly could buy a digital camera and not have to understand film, and we're undercutting weddings really severely. And I just didn't want to be in that game. So because I always had a day job too, a pretty good career, it just something that I kind of just decided to kind of walk away from.
Similar to the family portrait photography space currently.
Yeah, totally. Everybody's got a camera, right? And
100,000 shots in 5 minutes and you're done.
Yeah. You and I have witnessed some fantastic photo shoots like that out at Pitt Lake, buddy. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed. I think a lot of people have kind of negative connotations toward wedding photography. I actually really enjoyed it. I enjoyed kind of meeting the couples ahead of time, getting to know them, getting to understand what style they were after, make that come to life for them. And like I said, there's kind of, for me, with the kind of the action and sports background, there was sort of this almost adrenaline of catching the moment, right? Having this vision of what different moments in the wedding would look like and really kind of nailing it. So kind of leaned itself back to kind of that storytelling that I'd done with the outdoor space.
I met Steve, and I think I was pretty fresh into photography at the time. And I'd got a little bit of traction locally, working with the city and doing some stuff. And I mean, I learned so much from you on those walks about just the fine details that I was missing. So, I mean, that's one thing that in the last 6 years, those are lessons that have taken me to the places I'm at now.
Wow, man, that means a lot.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I've always considered you a super close friend. I mean, we have great conversations. In fact, one of the only friends who came to see me in the hospital when I was laid up for 4 weeks, and that meant a ton to me. I was at my lowest, man. Like, I was going through it, and you took the time to come and bring me a coffee and some treats and just spend a couple hours with me. And that really helped lift my spirits. So I appreciate you.
You're welcome, buddy.
We've been all over the Lower Mainland shooting photos. There's nothing in Langley I don't think that one of us doesn't have on an image. This city's pretty small.
Fair to say. Yeah.
And we've captured a lot of it. But you've done the last couple of years, you've done some pretty epic trips. You've gone, you went to Morocco, was that it?
Yeah, 2022, went to Morocco.
And then you just got back from Switzerland.
Yeah.
And of course, me, as everybody knows, I'm a huge Porsche fan. He sends me the icon of all icon hotels with a red Porsche going around. Like, one, I appreciate the photo because I think it's sick. I actually want you to do a print for me of it. Break into your love of travel and break into what you love to capture and what it means to you to be in these places.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the chapter that kind of came after walking away from wedding photography. And then, my snowboarding circle, we all kind of grew up. So I kind of walked away from that, and obviously had a career at the same time that was doing very, very well. So it wasn't from a financial standpoint that I needed to shoot. And, I kind of walked away from that for a while. And I've always loved travel. I've always loved kind of capturing those moments that totally encompass a place, whether it was here in BC or whether it was, in Chile. That's always really interested me. One of my photography, probably my biggest influence in photography is a photographer named Galen Rowell. That's one of his shots on the wall behind me there. And he does such a great job in his shots of telling the story of a place, not just taking a picture of it. And in his books too, kind of describing how he did that and the choices he made. So that kind of became almost like a puzzle to solve when I travel. How do you go somewhere where everybody's been and get something different? And I'll give you one example is that in Iceland there's that famous plane crash site that you walk out to in the middle of the desert, the volcanic desert. You're in the middle of nowhere, and there's this DC-10 crash, this just hulk of a plane. And if you look for it on Instagram, you're going to see a million photos of it. And I stayed out there for 3 hours in the rain trying to find something different. And it's raining sideways. And in Iceland, when the wind is just incredible. And I'm just about ready to pack up. And this guy hops out of the airplane. He's kind of climbing around the side there and opens an umbrella. And so I got the shot of this guy, the airplane, and this guy with an umbrella. And about 10 seconds after I get the shot, the umbrella is blown inside out and in pieces, right? Like, you just don't bring umbrellas to Iceland. And it's just, it's that one of a kind shot of a place that's been photographed to death. And I kind of love that. I love that puzzle of trying to find a way to do it in a way that somebody can't repeat it. And that's sort of something I love to do when I travel.
It's neat when you see from a different perspective, when you have a unique vision and you look at things a little bit different than the ordinary. You kind of put the rules of photography to the side a bit. I'm guilty of it on a daily basis that I shoot my camera. I know about all the rules and I like to break rules, so it works out in my favor a lot of the times. But you've been there. I mean, I'll take the weirdest photo and I look at it and I'm like, this is amazing. I love this.
Yeah, totally.
Like the red door in New West in the pouring rain that day.
I was with you that day.
Yeah. Like, who would have thought that this image with the red door and a reflection would be one of my images that people love the most? It was a quick, click, click. Yeah, but it was a different perspective, and it catches. And you're pretty good at keeping that unique look in all of your images. You do offer lessons and courses that you do with people. Now, when you do that, do you do it as a beginner course, or do you have kind of like a set structure to it?
I think that where I'm happy doing them, I've done it different ways. I think where I'm happiest doing it is kind of a 3-phased approach where we meet up front and find out what they want to learn, what they want to accomplish. have them share shots they've taken that they're happy with, have them share shots they've taken that they're not happy with, and shots that inspire them. And then I'll spend some time kind of figuring out where to go, when to go, and put a day together for them to really kind of build what they need. And then follow up about a week later and do a critique, look through the edit, give them some editing information if they need it, and kind of come away with a really kind of a bespoke approach to what they want to learn. And I've done that kind of more canned approach and stuff like that. And there's lots of places you can get that, or where we are doing it in a group, which I can do also. I've done that, but I think where I get the most out of it, and for me that's important too, is where I'm really working to get somebody somewhere. We've got a clear goal, what they want to learn, what that means to them, and I kind of build that roadmap to help them get there.
And Steve is very, very good with Capture One. I myself have taken the Steve approach to Capture One.
Yeah.
There's just so much. I mean, there's so many things we could bring up. Switzerland, you did all these amazing, amazing photos. Talk about your process, because I know you're much different than me when it comes to figuring out photo time, light angle. I just show up and hope the light's good.
Yeah.
I know that I miss the shots all the time because that's my approach. But I know before your trip, like months and months in advance, you're reading books, you're checking when the light's going to be good, you're checking, all of that. Shadow angles, everything. Like, what is your approach when it comes to planning one of these adventures?
Yeah, it's a little bit all encompassing for me. I think the first thing I do is I turn off the internet, because if you look online to photograph Switzerland, you're going to see top 10 places to do this, top 12 things. And what it does is it puts absolutely everybody in the same place at the same time. And I think when you can get a guidebook or two and start to kind of read a little bit, understand a little bit, maybe find some more off the beaten track kind of places that you learn a little bit more. I really am into older guidebooks too. Finding a guide to Switzerland that's 25 years old, there's going to be something in there that's not in anymore. And I get a lot from that, because I think the online research is valuable to a point, but it does tend to put everybody in the same place. So I try to find some nuggets that are a little bit off the beaten path. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's very famous places that are famous for a reason, and I'm going to go there, but I want to have some unique places too. And then, yeah, you're absolutely right. I figure out, there's Google Earth, there's all kinds of things you can do in photo pills as you prep where the sun's going to be, what time of day, where I need to be, where I need to stand. Is this a sunrise place? Is this a sunset place? Is it a middle of the day place? Sometimes that makes sense. So yeah, I'll have quite a notebook and a shot list kind of pre-planned, but then you can't completely do that. You also have to be open to go where the day goes and what the light does for you that day. Sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not. So you can't be upset that you didn't get what you planned. You just gotta have lots planned. So it's a little bit more of a scientific approach. And then when I go online, I'll go on Instagram and I'll find people that live in those places, photographers, and then I'll reach out more in the DMs and kind of get some local knowledge. But and it's a recipe that's worked for me for sure. So
this last trip, literally you've been home a week, right?
Yeah.
What were some of your favorite places, and why were they your favorite places that you visited while you were there?
Oh, that's a great question. I'd say the first place.
I'm a professional, my friend.
Yeah, right. I forget about this. The first place I went to that was like on my my big list was this guest house called Asher, and it's in the Appenzell region, and it's this sort of restaurant and guest house built into the side of a cliff. Pretty iconic. It's been on the cover of a National Geographic book, and people have seen pictures of it. But that was definitely a place that had been photographed, but something I had to see with my own eyes. And it's quite the adventure. I mean, we were staying in Zurich, so it's 2 trains out of Zurich, and then you catch a cable car up the mountain, and then you hike down the mountain into a tunnel, through a cave, come out the other side and kind of walk along this cliff until the place reveals itself. And it was just absolutely magic, and had a great lunch there. So it's kind of this whole piece, right? And that storytelling aspect you can add to shots like that, and the video I shot along the way, all that kind of stuff. Just loved it. The other one for me is at a mountain that I've obsessed about since I was a kid, which was the Matterhorn. So my nerd out research, I actually managed to find a hotel in Zermatt that had an unobstructed view. It's kind of at the top of the town with nothing in front of it. So just a clear, unobstructed view of the Matterhorn. So I was able to get these, nighttime, the sunset, nighttime, sunrise, the next sunrise, all from my hotel balcony. Just well researched, and I'm sitting there with that down blanket wrapped around me, having some tea while it's 2 degrees outside, and yeah, it was absolutely epic to see that mountain for real. It was everything I ever thought it would be, and I'm really happy I got some cool shots. The one nighttime shot I got it with the stars, and you can see the streaks of light on the mountain that are the climbers going up as they climb. They climb at night because
It's funny because I'm looking at it right now.
Apart. Yeah.
So I was actually wondering what that was. You can actually see the light streaks from their lighting.
Yeah, from their headlamps.
Wow. And was that taken from the hotel?
Yeah.
That's insane. I love that. Nothing like just keep it simple, right? Find a hotel, take the photo. And I mean, it's an amazing, amazing night photo. You've got all the stars. You've got, I don't know if it's satellites or what's going on in the sky with the streaks. You know what I mean? It's a great shot. And the Matterhorn's legendary.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something we learned about as a kid, right?
Absolutely.
Like the fact that you were there. I mean, that's a pretty good way to spend your time.
Absolutely. And then Furka Pass, that's where the Hotel Belvedere is. That was a whole adventure, renting a car for that day and driving up those just switchback after switchback way above the tree line, and coming upon that legendary hotel. And then that's also a whole bunch of scenes from Goldfinger were shot up there. So there's all this James Bond connection up there and stuff. Man, I just had a blast that day. I got so many shots from that day. It was a swap memory cards kind of day.
Oh, you went in.
Yeah.
You going to put something together like you did? Are you going to put another zine together?
Yeah, I'll definitely be putting a zine together for Switzerland. Yeah, I think I've got a unique story to tell, and the places we visited, and some of the shots I got there, really interesting. I'm very focused. I think it's interesting because we've got such beautiful mountains here in Canada. And more of them. Yeah, Canadian Rockies is so vast, and the Coast Mountains where we live is incredible. But what was so different in Switzerland was the human elements in the mountains, right? These huts, these hotels, the lifts everywhere, kind of all this infrastructure, and some of it hundreds and hundreds of years old, that just we don't have here, right? Here it's just a wild place, and I appreciate that. But for me, it was getting to these unbelievable places, and there's a hotel there made of rock, like that. So I think that's probably where a little bit of my my zine that I'm kind of formulating a little bit will probably go, kind of those man-made elements in the mountains and how that kind of coexists, and how just unbelievably industrious the Swiss have been about building life in the mountains.
Yeah, and that'll be another through blurb as well, like your last one.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of your last one. I was just looking at it 2 days ago.
Marrakesh. Yeah.
Marrakesh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. Is that still available? Can people still grab it?
Yeah, that is still available on the blurb link. Yeah, and you can find that. It's in my links in my bio on my Instagram, as well as on my website. So yeah, that was unique. I mean, that was the day after the massive earthquake hit Morocco, and kind of centered right near Marrakesh. So being in Marrakesh the day after an earthquake wasn't a zine I had intended to make, wasn't the zine I intended to make for Morocco, but it was such a unique time to be there, and such a story to tell, to sort of see the devastation, but just how life went on, and sort of also the real contradiction between the richer parts of the city and the older, poorer parts of the city, how they fared, was quite a dichotomy. So it was kind of a project that kind of made itself.
I think anybody who, I'll put all Steve's links in the bio, but like what I noticed looking through it was just the colors of the buildings.
Oh man.
And like, it's so, I've never been. So for me, it was just like reading, even just looking through it at the pictures is like telling a story.
Yeah.
You could follow through it and you're like, oh, that's pretty, okay, I see. And you could kind of see what you were looking at and what it was doing and how you drove through it. So I'm looking forward to the Switzerland one.
Yeah.
I'll be number 1 on the list.
Sounds good, buddy.
Now we're back here in Canada and we've had some recent changes in your life. So, like, let's let everybody know that you can reach out to Steve and get some one-on-one instruction. Let's get some, groups together if they want. What do we want to tell people about this next little chapter?
Yeah, I think, I think I've got a little more time on my hands now to focus on photography. And it's something I really want to pursue. I'm not looking for clients anymore. I've done that. I'm not looking for getting published unless it falls in my lap. I think where I really see myself enjoying photography is when I can inspire other people and when I can teach other people. That's really where I'm happy doing it. That's what I want to do. I think it's really interesting with a lot of the people I've worked with and helped. There's this feeling with newer photographers that you kind of can learn everything from YouTube, right?
Not true.
Not true. No, it's not. But you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot. You know what I mean? You can learn all the technical stuff from YouTube, but I think that there's some significant gaps, and they're gaps that for me were helped by mentors, by, like I said, working with an incredible wedding photographer, people that take an interest in your work and are able to give you criticisms or critique or build, people you can go out and shoot with that just say, maybe aim your lens a little more to the left, and you're okay taking that feedback. Because I think the thing that you don't learn from YouTube or quote unquote self-taught is composition and light, and really how important that is. And I think that's something you learn from a mentor, from a teacher, from a course, from a workshop. Been a beneficiary of being on a lot of amazing workshops, and there's never once been a time I didn't come away with drastic shot to, okay, I'm going to do this now. So I think that's what I encourage people, whether, I'd love it to be with me, but seek out people that you admire. See if you can spend it. Like Tyson and I, that's how we met and saw each other's work on Instagram. Hey, we're taking pictures of the same thing. Let's go.
Yep.
I think that's the biggest thing that's missing with a lot of photographers that are kind of self-taught, is that they just have never had that mentor.
I'm guilty of changing gear like it's no tomorrow.
Oh, you don't say?
Not anymore. I don't have time. But always searching for that one thing that's going to make it better. But in reality, the thing I had was just fine, but I was still learning.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're just learning, you're always like, well, this is good, but this will make it better.
Yeah.
And you get caught in this cycle, right? I
mean,
I've left and been back to Fuji. I don't even want to tell people 6 or 7 times, and this is the longest I've actually been away from even having anything Fuji, which is strange.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Spend the money on a course and not on a new camera.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
learned so much from Steve in my beginnings, but the hardest part is when you're really trying to learn. And I can honestly say I don't think there was more people that put more hours into photography over that first 3 years than I did. I was shooting like a madman. And just trying to teach myself through YouTube. And when you meet someone who has 20 years of experience and you're looking at the angles or, even down to what f-stop they shot it on, it actually helps you improve faster. So like when I would go out with Steve, he would just gradually tell me something. And at first sometimes it was really hard to take. I'd be like, but that's just me. And I'd rather pay for a course than buy a new camera. I'd rather do a photo walk with a mentor than buy a new lens. And that's all new to me. That happened in October. When I left the hospital, I was like, life's too short to just think the camera's going to make that much of a difference.
Yeah.
And then I put all my effort towards the show and to my current setup that I'm running. And I couldn't be happier. I've taken so many courses on, even online courses are amazing.
Yep.
I've had, I did Alex Soth. I did, I can't even remember. There's so many Joel Merowitz courts. Like there's so many little details you pull out of their lessons when they're speaking.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know we don't want to talk too much gear, but I mean, I'm a similar moment really as you. And that was, I grew up with Nikon SLR shooting film. I basically had a Nikon tattoo. And, and I moved into Nikon digital and, D850, 24 to 70, 2.8, 80 to 200, 2.8. And I would travel with that. And, I got great shots, but I also got back pain. And everywhere you go, you're walking through a sketchy area and you've got just eyes on you too, right? It was maybe about 2-3 months after the first X100 came out. And I was in a local camera store and I just straight up bought it on a whim and started playing with it. And I decided I was going to challenge myself to 12 months with it. Put the Nikon on the shelf and just that 35 mil equivalent fixed lens f2 and just go. And at the time, the job I was working for was a global role. I was traveling pretty much half the year. Company I worked for was based in Norway. I was over there all the time. I was all over Europe. I was all over North America. And this X100 came everywhere with me. And I started to realize it was about the joy of photography. It wasn't about the joy of the gear. And I got unbelievable shots. But I think even more than that, I kind of rediscovered photography in a way, because you work all day, you get back to the hotel, summertime, you're in Annapolis, Maryland or something like that. It's still light out. I wasn't on my laptop. I wasn't going to dinners. I was out with my camera. And no matter where I was, and I was going to some pretty epic places, I was out there getting shots, and I was out there getting great shots. And I just had this little camera that basically fit in my pocket. And that was, I think from a mental health perspective, probably one of the best things I ever did, because working on the road that much can be a real drain. It sounds fun at first, but after 5-6 years being in hotels 100+ nights a year, it's a lot. And it gave me something to look forward to every day. Whether I was doing it first thing in the morning, doing it in the evenings, doing night stuff, whatever it was, that became kind of that part of the day that I could look forward to. And that was really good for mental health, being on the road. And I think that camera kind of made photography more, not just something I did, but kind of part of my life.
For me, like the X100V was the only camera I had for quite a while. And it was neat because I was using it for things that most people wouldn't have shot it for. I shot skateboarding with it. You're shooting like from across the street and you're still able to capture everything you want. And that was a weird experience because I've always been a Fuji with 1655 2.8. That was my favorite lens they ever made. Or now it's my 24 to 70. I love that lens, but I don't walk around with it because it's too big and too heavy.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, now I walk around with a ZFC and a 24 mil, and
Yeah.
that's what I carry with me every day. But just focusing, and I'm trying to get back because I have nothing scheduled photography wise for the next year. It's all the show. The show has taken over everything. That no matter which camera I go out with, I want to be very similar focal length. So 24 is like a 30, I guess it would be a 35 on the APS-C. So I'll do a 35, that one, and I'll do the 40 on the ZF.
Yeah.
And that'll be basically my choice for the next foreseeable future.
Well, it's interesting because it gives you it also gives a consistent look to your photos, right?
Yeah.
Totally different subject matter, but when you're kind of always looking at it through the same perspective, the same fixed lens, you start to develop a style that becomes a little bit recognizable.
Yep.
I didn't shoot a ton of primes even when I was in the Nikon ecosystem. I was mainly zooms. And I think that comes from, action photography and stuff. You definitely need that.
Yeah.
The X100 definitely got me moving my feet so much more to find a composition and not be able to zoom in or zoom out of it. And I found shots I never would have found with a zoom. And that's not saying everybody that's the case, because I know there's some phenomenal photographers that create way better work than me with a zoom. But for me, adapting to mainly using primes, I work harder. I find things I wouldn't have found if I didn't move around because of the limitation of the prime, and it develops better shots for me. So pretty much my camera bag, with the exception of a 70-300, is pretty much all primes.
That came from me, by the way, the 70 to
Yeah,
300.
I did get that off of you. Yeah.
It's been too long. We haven't shot like we used to. We used to shoot every weekend.
Yeah, for a while there. Yeah, absolutely.
And then life.
Yeah, and then life.
My illness took a lot out of me.
Yeah.
It's a year. It'll be a year on the 30th. And I'm still struggling. So, I'm finally able to start doing things again where, they were so worried about the skin and everything and it healing properly that for almost a year I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Which drove me nuts. Sitting around like, okay, I want to go shoot this, but I'm not allowed to walk that far. Can't ride my bike. Can't do this. I was like a 50-year-old, 4-year-old. I can do whatever I want, but I can't do anything.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to getting back at it and getting out and just enjoying. So I have this project coming up that's very close to stuff that I enjoy, of capturing things before they're gone. I'm going to start in Merritt, which is where my home indigenous community is from, which is Lower Nicola. I'm going to start there because there's so many homesteads and just old architecture that is starting to fall apart to the end. And I want to start capturing this basically from there all the way, all the way through maybe Greenwood further, just capturing old homesteads and old barns, and then using my indigenous connections to have an elder from each community tell a story about the land and then put it into book form.
That's cool.
So I would love your input and your help and your eye when it comes to starting to put things together, or maybe even a road trip
let's
partner.
Do it. Don't sleep on the Fraser Canyon either. There is some unbelievable. Fraser Canyon feels like Route 66.
Yeah.
There's so many things that were made for tourists and, hotels and attractions and all this stuff that when the new highway went in, it's been bypassed, and it's phenomenal what you can capture on that route too. No, let's do a roadie.
I just drove that road a few weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago. I was up at Tyotin shooting a wedding, of all things. Me shot a wedding. Woohoo!
Awesome.
My excitement. Any words of wisdom that you would like to share with the people listening?
Stay at it. I think that's the biggest thing is I love social media. I love Instagram, and I'm all about really connecting with people on there. But I see it so often, right? Where people will be really into something. They'll be doing some great work, and some kind of road bump hits them, and then what happened to that guy? And then you go back and you realize they haven't posted anything in 6 months.
Yeah.
And you reach out to them, and they're like, "Yeah, I know, my camera's on a shelf. I put it away." And I think stick with it because it can be an anchor in your life. And I know a big part of your podcast, Tyson, is connection between photography and mental health.
Yes, sir.
And
How'd you know I was getting there?
I don't know, just psychic, I guess. But for me, I mean, partway through 2022, I had to take a medical leave from work, and it lasted almost 2 years. And it's tough. It's tough to go when you're used to working hard and you're working in a corporate environment and you're important and you're needed, and to just what do I do with my day? Yeah, photography was it for me. I was out with my camera almost every day, depending on weather. And I think I developed a lot as a photographer in that time span. I think my work got stronger because it was a daily routine. It was in my calendar when I would go out, obviously based on photo pills information and all that kind of stuff. You know me, but I had a calendar. This is when I'm going here. This is when I'm going there. I had a destination list. It was just all around me here. And it was stuff like you said, we've all shot it 100 times, but have I ever shot it in those conditions? And I think it was through doing that I kind of found where photography lives in my life and how important it is. And for me, I think a lot of us, we wrap our identity up in our job. Some people you have in your podcast are lucky enough their job is photography. Some of us don't, right? Some of us, for me, it could have been. I chose a corporate life, did very well for myself, but always had it on the side. But I think we wrap our identities up in what we do for a living. And I don't do that anymore. Meeting people in Switzerland. What do you do? I'm a photographer. I also work, here, but my identity is as a photographer.
Yeah.
And when you kind of make that mental switch in your head and your identity isn't your work, I think life gets a little bit easier. And that's a tough lesson for me to learn and a long lesson for me to learn, but it's made me stronger as a person. And I think devoting that time to it, even though it was just mostly local stuff, really helped develop my eye and some of my techniques, some things I never took time to work on. In a way, grateful for it. So
I say the same thing about COVID. A lot of people, they hid and they cowered in fear when COVID came because it was bad. But I was off work for 3 months. I shot photos every single day for 3 months, 8 hours a day. And I found such quick progression because I was constantly testing myself and pushing those limits. And when I was stuck in that hospital bed, stuck in that hospital room, I couldn't leave the room.
Yeah.
I was stuck in this, I don't know, what do you say it was, 10 by 10 room?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. For multiple weeks where they would tell me things like, oh, you need to walk more. Well, does that mean I can leave the room? No. Well,
nice.
Where am I going to walk? Right. So I sat there and I started to realize that I have more time behind me than I have left ahead of me. And the biggest chunk of my life, on top of being a dad for so long, was I put everything into a job for somebody else. And then when I came out, that's when I spent the same amount of time and effort to learn how to control the microphone or direct a conversation, to edit a conversation, to make it happen because I'm doing it now for me. So just like you identify as a photographer, that's who you are. That is who Steve is. I identify now as someone who puts a show out. I have a show. It's not a podcast, it's a show.
That's awesome.
Because what it does is it connects community. It connects people. I've been very blessed with the people that have come on my show. Phil Penman, who is one of my favorite photographers. Pete Souza. His stories were freaking incredible.
Yeah.
But these are people that sat there with me while I'm learning. and shared deep story, not just gear or what they did, but the true feeling and meaning of what it means to be a photographer. And I can't thank everyone enough. I remember telling you, we both were talking about this podcast thing, and we're like, I don't know what's going to happen. And it's been 2 years that I have been so grateful for. All that time, effort, things I could do while I was laid up on the couch for 6 weeks after I left the hospital. It was everything. It's everything still. I record like a madman. What I do, I did 6 last weekend. I think I did like 7 the weekend before. I try to be available for people. So when people are willing to come on the show and they say, hey, I have this time. Okay. Let's get up at 5 a.m. No problem.
That's awesome, buddy. I'm proud of you, Tyson.
Thank you, sir.
You had a vision, and I don't think anyone can figure out what, you've got step 1 and you kind of knew what step 10 was, but 2 through 9 was shrouded in mist.
It was.
And I think it's really cool to see you being so successful with this and really turning it into something. It's awesome.
Well, it means a lot for me, Steve. I mean, we're friends on the outside of the show. It's not just like I met you now. And I mean, you've been there when I've been at my lowest. You've seen me be overexcited about something to like craziness. Like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And now it's here. It materialized. And I mean, hard work pays off.
Not always. Remember the time we tied a rope across a creek and tried to zip line a GoPro?
I drove past there the other day and I started laughing. I was like, what were we thinking?
That footage is not good.
No, it didn't turn out.
It was a good concept, but poor execution, I believe. Yeah.
I do remember that. I remember that quite well, actually. That was a fun time. Yeah. I bought a GoPro because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then sold the GoPro and then moved over to the Osmo Action.
Nice.
Awesome, man. Where's the best place for people to find you, Steve?
The quickest place is, everybody's fingertips is definitely Instagram. So it's Lens of Steve with underscores between lens and of and Steve. So I'm definitely really active on there, really active in the DMs and try to be really active with, got a great community that kind of has circled around my account. And I'm really grateful for that, to have, Instagram engagement kind of goes up and down. We could probably do a whole podcast on social media and my thoughts on it, but I do love it. I think it connects you to the world and it connects you to some incredible people. But what you put into it is what you get out of it. And it takes a lot of work to put it in, but I do enjoy that. So Instagram and Threads, I'm there. And then I also have lensofsteve.com, which is my website. And you can certainly reach out to me on there as well.
I'll put all those in the show notes, my friend. Dude, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your journey.
Appreciate it, man.
We'll be doing follow-ups. I'm going to be doing follow-ups with everyone. So many people have so much. I found out I hated when podcasts would have someone on, they'd talk about all this awesomeness they're doing. And then that's the last thing you hear about it because you don't get that follow-up. So
yeah,
I actually started recording follow-ups to do a Christmas special. So
oh, cool.
I'm going to try to do the week of Christmas, the 20th to the 25th, and have a new follow-up episode every single day.
Nice.
Yeah, so it just gives... I just want to know the story, man. I want to know what happened.
Yeah, totally.
I've got all these things where people are like, oh, I started a book. Well, what happened with the book? Is it still there? Or did you change? And what caused you to change? Or where are you at with the book? And I just want to continue to share the journey of people that are excited about being creative. Thank you for tuning in to the Life of Phys podcast. I hope today's conversation brought you insight, inspiration, or just a fresh perspective on the creative journey. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to follow, rate, and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. It really helps us grow and reach more listeners like you. For updates, behind-the-scene content, and more, please follow us on all social medias at LIFE_OF_PHYS. And don't forget to check out the show notes for links and resources from today's episode. Until next time,
stay curious, stay creative, and keep living the life of creativity.